Hey everybody, welcome back to Inside the Five. It's Tav.
It's Will.
And it's Griff.
And today we're going to be talking about some new NBA news that has recently come across our desks. We have trades. We have stars possibly requesting a trade as well. We have some free agency news. We're going to talk a little baseball like we always do. We'll talk about specific teams that are very surprising to us, one specific in mind, and we're also going to be talking about some teams that should be a lot better than they are, but are really disappointing up to this point. And finally, with football just around the corner, we have some NFL news. A star found a new home. There's a possible running back strike that's coming. And then we have some new jerseys that are coming as well, some throwbacks, some alternates. Very exciting. Boys, what do we say?
Let's do it.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We're getting things kicked off on today's episode with some big news out of the National Basketball Association. Reigning MVP Joel Embiid, is he going to be on the move? Who knows? There hasn't been any, formal request of a trade, but a big quote came from a press conference from Embiid himself saying, "I just want to win a championship, whether that be here or somewhere else." I just want to preface this by saying, right when I heard this, the first thing that I thought of was when Giannis signed his major contract, his super max, where he was talking about winning a championship, but he wanted to do it here, pretty much in the house that he built. Embiid, obviously, after winning MVP, they fell very short because the Sixers stink and they will never be good at basketball. A lot of questions surrounding this whole franchise. With Harden, can Tyrese Maxey be the guy that's up next? And Stav, I'll kick it right to you. What do we think is going to happen with Joel Embiid this offseason?
I don't think anything's going to happen this offseason. I'll start by saying that with Joel Embiid, at least. I think James Harden is good as gone. I don't think that he's going to play another. And maybe he'll play a few games for the 76ers, as he did with Houston when he requested a trade and they couldn't find a deal before the season started. He'll play one or two games and then he'll sit out. That's what James Harden does. And then he gets his way. He gets traded. He'll put on that fat suit. And Embiid's just going to be pissed off because they're going to acquire young assets and not be in a win now mode. Joel Embiid's 29. He's going to be 30 when the season started, or when the season starts, and they've basically wasted his prime. They haven't been to a conference finals. They haven't really surrounded him with good talent other than Jimmy Butler that 1 year, and I think he's going to request a trade come next offseason. They're not doing a good job, and unless they get star talent back in return, I mean, hypothetically, we'll get to Damian Lillard in a little bit, but if the Heat cannot somehow come to a deal with the Blazers, even though everything is pointing in the sign that that's going to happen, then the Heat should probably try and get James Harden, and then they send guys like Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson to Philly. I think that's a win-win for both teams. And maybe that keeps Embiid in town if Hero and Duncan Robinson can really, and Kyle Lowry even, if they get that deal across. That puts both teams in a better situation. But right now, if the 76ers sit on their thumbs and do nothing, Joel Embiid's gone next offseason.
Yeah, and, because they've done this before with him, they had a whole plan figured out. You guys remember the process, obviously, and that didn't pan out. Then they switched to the James Harden movement, and I think we all knew that had no chance. And you're right, Joel Embiid is going to be 30, and he's looked at as one of the best players in this league, maybe top three, I guess top one this past year, according to voters. But you look at his resume in the playoffs, and he hasn't done anything. And, you can't blame one player on playoff performance. You can blame a franchise. And the Sixers really haven't done what they should be doing for Joel Embiid, and that's surrounding him with a lot of youth, getting the correct pieces to fit around him specifically. James Harden and Joel Embiid was never going to work out. James Harden just in general doesn't work out. He's not, in my opinion, a championship player. He is not a guy that will go out and win you a championship. He is someone that will entertain, get a lot of stats, get butts and seats at games and all that. He's an entertainer, to be honest. Joel Embiid is a competitor, and he wants to play with competitors. Joel Embiid wants to be the leader of a team, so why not surround him with very, very good youth? Like, you already have Tyrese Maxey. He needs to be a full-time starter and the primary ball handler of the team, and that's why James Harden needs to go. Now, if you move James Harden, you can still get a bag for him. I think that right now would be the best time to sell for him. You don't want him in a Sixers jersey that first day of the regular season because, in my opinion, it could really only go down for there in terms of his value. So I would get rid of him as soon as possible. Stav, you brought up maybe a possible trade to the Heat. I think that if they get rid of him soon, it can't be to the Heat because they're going to be playing games with the Blazers all offseason. But there's so many different places that would take James Harden, a lot of teams with a lot of youth on them, and a lot of assets. So I think it would make perfect sense. And this would kind of just be the final trial period for Joel Embiid. And if it doesn't go well after moving Harden, after shifting the franchise, this will be pretty much the third era of the Joel Embiid 76ers, if you want to look at it like that. In when did he get drafted? 6 or 7, 8 years ago now? Yeah. I mean, that's rough. And not giving him a foundation that he can build and grow with is really going to stunt a player's legacy. And that's kind of what it's looking like for Joel Embiid. I didn't know he was turning 30 until you said that. And now I'm just thinking about he's just kind of wasting his time over there in Philadelphia. Well, I don't know what you think about, wasting time, but they haven't done anything.
I mean, as of recent years in Philly, everyone that's there is pretty much wasting their time. The way they've been going, it's just a process. It's another wasted year. It just keeps on going year after year after year. Now, I know when I saw the news that Joel Embiid said that quote that we're talking about right now, he also said that he values – I keep seeing the same thing running around now that, it kind of feels like in 2K, like in my career, when you, want to suggest a trade, but you don't want to be, too harsh about it. He kind of, clicked, the soft route into it, which I respect that move from him because he is, their star player. And, he did say he values playing on one team his entire career, which I don't think is going to happen. But I don't think he's going to get traded, like you said, Stav, this offseason. But I think his window is from now to the trade deadline during the season. I think he's going to wait out, see what they do this offseason, see if he likes the team. If not, I think he's gone within that deadline period from the beginning of the season till then. If he's not, I think that's a big mistake because I think if he gets dealt at the deadline, I think there's still options for the 76ers to get a really good package to possibly still be competitive, and he goes to a team where he can possibly win his first championship halfway through the season. I think that's a good option for him. I think waiting a full year is you're just wasting another year of your career. You have to act now. Like you said, he's 30. I didn't even realize he was 30. I thought he was still kind of young, which is even more crazy. If I was him, I'd be on it a little bit more. I just don't think the window is in Philly, and I don't think it will be anytime soon.
Yeah, and I mean that's just a testament to the franchise. Bad franchise.
That's
can't get their stars together. Last finals appearance was 01?
Yeah.
01 with Allen Iverson and still didn't get the job done. I mean, they've had some all-time players.
Isn't that their last conference finals appearance was that year? I can't think of a year that they made it to the conference finals after 2001.
Did they make it in? No.
They never made it with Iguodala. They never made it with guys like Thaddeus Young. Even though that was the same team. You get what I'm saying. They never really got over any humps. They were a first round or a second round team always since Allen Iverson. And just thinking about a team that you'd want to surround around Joel Embiid, it's not at all what they've ever built for him. Never. It doesn't make any sense.
Simmons, and that never made sense because there's two guys that absolutely screw the spacing of the floor. Because although Joel Embiid can go out there and hit a couple threes, maybe if he feels like it, that's not his game, and he's in the post. So you put a 6'10" point guard with him for the first half of his career, more than that. and then pick up Markelle Fultz, who, you know, battled the injury, but that's another guy that right when he got into the league just couldn't shoot. Like, when you have a superstar big, what's the best thing to do? Get a point guard that facilitates, and every single other person on that court has to be shooting threes. They're like, it's the NBA. There's no other option. If you have one guy that plays inside, that's one too many. So you need to have everybody else shooting threes, or at least capable of shooting threes. And they've just never built that for him. It's never been like an option. And Tyrese Maxey's okay at shooting. James Harden, obviously, right now is good at shooting. Tobias Harris, in my opinion, is mid. And then they always run like PJ Tucker or something, like just guys that cannot shoot the ball. It really just doesn't make sense. They've never built a good squad around Joel Embiid. They've never surrounded him with positive talent. And I think it's just about time that he doesn't give up, but like they've never really done anything for him.
No, they haven't. And I think you saying that they need shooters, like how when you asked the rhetorical question of what players need to be surrounded when you have a superstar big, you said the exact thing that I was thinking. A facilitating point guard. They have a score first point guard with James Harden, and Tyrese Maxey is essentially
Tyrese Maxey scores too.
Yeah. Which I that's not a knock on Tyrese Maxey at all, because he's young. He can make the plays. He deserves to score. But the last shooter, like the last knockdown shooter that team has had is JJ Redick in 2018.
Yeah.
So
would you argue that was their best roster with Embiid? I would say that around that time that was their best roster.
Absolutely. The best roster was when they had Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons was running the point, JJ Redick. Who's the four on that team? Tobias Harris was the four. They had those. Yeah. That was a very good team, and they just ran into an. If they should have just ran it back with that same team, like that team, probably that 2019 year. Wait, I'm sorry. So 2018 was the last Cavs year with LeBron. 2019 was that year with Kawhi in Toronto, and then 2020, the following year, was the bubble year. If they ran that back with the same team, that team could have been dangerous. Mm-hmm. And then even going into the future, the next following year, obviously, was the Bucks year when they won the championship. Jimmy Butler that year, like those guys together could have been something really good. And hypothetically, if they fell out with Ben Simmons, then you could have traded him for different assets and you would have been all set. They just have they've continued to fail. They continually fail to assemble the right roster. It feels like they're always trying to make a splash and they never do. It's like they give Tobias Harris this big contract. Tobias Harris is a 15 points a game scorer who isn't a consistent 3-point shooter. Who's the best 3-point shooter on that team? Is it James Harden? You're going to consider James Harden? Yeah. He's not. He's a 35% guy, like 30% guy. I don't want him to be doing that. You know what I mean? What do I know about constructing an NBA roster? But the 76ers are a dumpster fire. I think I called that they should rebuild, and I think that this is just solidifying that even more.
It makes sense for them to rebuild. I also think that since Embiid came into the league, I feel like they've been asking him to do way too much since like his third year in the league. Like they want him to like literally just do everything, and like that never works no matter what situation anybody's in. Like you could see it everywhere else. Like you can't ask your star player to literally do everything. They can do everything, but if you're going to win a championship, they can't do it all. And they failed to keep making a roster, like you said. And I feel like every single time they come out with a new roster, they are like when they build or add pieces, they're just like not going in the right direction. They're just like, let's just keep getting more guards. What about the filler pieces? Like PJ Tucker just like isn't a guy. Like I'm going to be honest, like he is not a guy when you have Joel Embiid on your team. He just isn't it.
Yeah, and he's also the same age as Udonis Haslem. And my least favorite player on this team is Tobias Harris. First off, he makes the most money on that team. He makes more money than James Harden. He makes more money than Joel Embiid.
He makes more money than Embiid?
Yes. Tobias Harris makes 37 mil and Joel Embiid makes 33 mil.
That's so embarrassing.
So,
oh God.
And where they really messed up was, if you guys don't remember, at the trade deadline, they were trying to move Tobias Harris. Nobody wants that contract for a guy that's only going to give him 18 a night. Like that is super max numbers right there that Tobias Harris is making. And I mean, he's not getting the job done at all. He's terrible. Last season he averaged 14, 5, and 2 a game, and he's making $37 million a year. So that's dead money right there. That's Al Horford on the Thunder money right there from Tobias Harris, because he's really not putting up anything, and he's in that starting role literally because of how much he is making, not because of what he's doing on the court. But you can't have someone making $37 million coming off the bench. That's just embarrassing with franchise. He needs to go anywhere, wherever it may be. If he needs to get cut, they need to give him that money. Give him the money up front, open up that cap space. You have to do something about it, because that is a major anchor in where they're going as a team. Actually, he's holding that whole squad back, and I believe James Harden is too. You free up both of those guys. Obviously, I would say in trades, that's almost $70 million that you're opening up for yourself, depending on who you get back. There's just a lot of money going to a lot of dead space for that team. The franchise, like I said, I mean, it's just dumpster fire is beyond what they are. Like they have nothing. They really don't.
Nick Nurse
have
is their
no
coach,
chance.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's another dumpster fire. Oh my god, that team is going to complain so much next year. Oh god, I'm not.
But they won't be good. This is
No, they're not gonna be
unless
good.
they have to make 2 or 3 more moves before I can like really judge them. But as of right now, this is one of the worst rosters I've ever seen them put around Joel Embiid.
It's terrible. And if I were them, I would try and convince Damian Lillard to sway, like, because that's a guy who you need.
I don't see why he wouldn't want to go there.
It makes no sense. Let's skip over JB. We'll get back to him. I want to talk about Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
Dame's my favorite player, but it makes no sense what he's doing. I mean, I hate the Heat. We all hate the Heat here. But, like, why are you forcing only to the Heat? You can do a lot better on another team. I'm not even saying the Celtics. As much as I would love him on the Celtics, it's not going to happen. But what? Like, there are so many other teams that want him that he would excel in, and he would win a championship. Imagine he was on the Bucks. Imagine that team of him, Giannis, Brook Lopez, and Chris Middleton. And who cares about the rest of that roster? That team's going to win a title. And, I mean, Miami, yeah, they have Jimmy and Bam, but with the assets that they're most likely going to give up, they're not going to be able to form a championship team with the contracts that they have. And Bam Adebayo, he's an upcoming free agent. They're going to have to pay him. Jimmy Butler, he says he doesn't want to play another team. He'll probably take a cut in reality. But what about other teams? Like, it's just my opinion. There's so many other teams that would win a championship if they just acquired Damian Lillard, and he's just not. I don't know.
Like I hate the fact that he only wants to go to Heat. Obviously, like you said, we all hate the Heat. I just don't see it there at all. Like, I don't understand. Like, yes, it's Miami. Like, it's like whatever, but like I don't see the attraction of wanting to go there and play with the assets that they have, because whatever he goes there for, they're sending it back his way. So he's just going to be joining a team that basically only has 3 pieces. It's going to be himself, Jimmy, and Bam. They're not going to have all those other pieces that led them to where they were this year and in prior years of how good they've been. So him going to Miami really doesn't make any sense. I would probably try to find a team that has a few extra assets, some picks that they can give up for himself, so that way he can go and join a team that actually can have a bench that can go out there and win games. Because as of right now, with what they're giving up, I don't see them being good at all, even with Damian Lillard. No matter what he contributes on the floor, whatever he does in the locker room, whatever he does to amp them up, I just like none of those 3 people will work out for them.
And just to think of the Miami Heat, it's not like they were the 1 seed going into the playoffs. It's not like they were the 2 seed and not even the 3. I mean, they were like terrible, and they're a real on and off team. And Jimmy Butler, yeah, he turned up in the playoffs, but does he do that every single year that he's in the playoffs? No, he's been to 2 finals in the past, 3 or 4 seasons? Is it 3 seasons?
3. So the bubble year was last.
Yeah. But I mean, with that being said, it's not like that team was ever anything special. That team was truly willed by Jimmy Butler. So if you don't have guys like, Max Strus or Gabe Vincent or even Kyle Lowry later in the season to step up when it's needed, like they got this past season, That's not guaranteed that happens next year. Like, we're not going to see Max Strus drop 30 in a game 6 or something like that next year. Like, that's just not how it's going to work. And Damian Lillard is
Max Strus is gone.
Oh,
He's
that's
on
right.
The Pacers.
That's right.
Victor Oladipo is gone. Like, everybody.
And what the real question is, what do the Heat give up to the Trailblazers? Like, there is no deal. The reason why this is staying so stagnant right now, and Stav, your top question on here is, when is he going to be traded to Miami? I don't think he is. I don't think he's going to end up in Miami. They do not have anything to give Portland. This is a superstar. This is the face of the franchise. The Heat don't have anything except for picks to give the Trailblazers.
And the Heat are the ones playing hardball. They think they have the leverage. They don't have Damian Lillard. Like, obviously, everyone knows I'm in that group chat with a bunch of Heat fans. And what I'm saying is, all it takes is time for Damian Lillard to change his mind and be like, fuck it, I'm just going to run it back here. Get me somebody else to play with. And then, for all we know, Portland makes a blockbuster and acquires Joel Embiid. And then what? Like, then Miami's sitting there with their thumbs up their ass with disgruntled young players who were on the trade block and two guys who are Jimmy Butler, who's getting out of his prime. Bam Adebayo is still a beast. But it makes no sense to me why Miami's like, all right, fuck it. Here, take Tyler Hero, take Duncan Robinson, take Kyle Lowry, and take our picks for the next 5 years, right? Because if you're Miami, you think you're on the brink of winning an NBA championship. You just made it to the finals. And you're the ones that are playing hardball to acquire a superstar. Give Portland what they want to get Damian Lillard at this point. Because how many times this offseason have we seen Damian Lillard say, I want to go to the Heat. I'm going to stay in Portland. I want to go to the – he's changing his mind consistently. And all it takes is one superstar who's friends with Damian Lillard to reach out to him, take him out to dinner or whatever, and be like, hey, the Heat are playing low ball to get you. They don't value you. The Bucks, we're going to make a deal. We want you to come here. We want to win a championship with you. And he's like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of waiting. I want to know what my future holds. I'm expanding the teams I want to be traded to. Like, time is killing the Heat. The Trailblazers have so many options. There's so many teams reaching out to them being like, we want Damian Lillard, but the agent is the one who's saying, I don't want him to go, whatever is happening over there. But it's like, what if Dame changes his mind? That happens so often.
As easy as that.
It happens so, and I hate bringing up this example, but Kyrie Irving, right? Way back when he requested a trade out of Cleveland, he only wanted to go to like 3 teams. Or it was like San Antonio, Houston. There was like a few, I don't remember the exact teams. Yeah, exactly. Brooklyn, obviously. And then he expanded his teams that he wanted to be traded to. And just like that, he got traded. That could very well happen here. If I'm the Heat, I want to get this trade done. Get him locked up. Damian Lillard is a guy who's going to put people in seats. He's a guy who's going to give the illusion of winning, even though he hasn't won anything in his career. Like, he's my favorite player. I remember when we were in the NBA store, Griffin, I'm like, I have a bad feeling he's going to get moved this offseason. That's why I didn't buy his jersey.
Yeah, and I was really trying to talk you into buying the jersey.
Yeah, look where we are now. And Damian, the Heat make no sense to me. If Pat Riley doesn't get this deal done, because it's literally like 90%, it's Heat or the Blazers, right? It's like 70-30 maybe that he's going to go to the Heat compared to staying to the Blazers. If Pat Riley doesn't get this deal done, he should retire because there's no reason why he shouldn't get this deal done. Like,
no, and dude, I'm looking at the Heat roster right now, and I mean, just like, this is obviously not what their starting lineup is going to look like, but this is what ESPN has it as. Tyler Hero, Josh Richardson, Celtic great, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, and Bam Adebayo. So, like, I mean, Josh Richardson in the starting lineup is laughable. Tyler Hero is not a point guard. And then off the bench, Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Martin, Haywood Highsmith, and Thomas Bryant. Who name 3 players that can be packaged with a shit ton of picks to the Trailblazers that they would take? The best player off their bench, their best and most promising player off the bench is Haywood Highsmith, who didn't get drafted. And their second most promising player is Duncan Robinson, who also did not get drafted. The Trailblazers will look like fucking idiots if they take 2 undrafted free agents and 5 first-round picks for Damian Lillard. There is nobody on this roster that could be given up that would make it look like the Trailblazers won the trade. It just isn't true. Like, you could get Tyler Hero, you could get Duncan Robinson, you could get Caleb Martin, and throw in Haywood Highsmith in there and 4 first-rounders. I still don't think the Trailblazers win that trade. What are they going to do for the next 5-10 years? None of those guys are going to be on the team in 5 to 10 years. You're going to get a bunch of picks. What are you going to do with the picks? And then in 10 years, we're going to be like, wow, the Heat fleeced the Blazers, because the Heat never had anything to give them in the first place.
Yeah. I still think either way, it's like a lose-lose scenario for both teams. I don't think there's a single way that like any of these, like the Heat won't win with Dame, and whatever those picks they get from the Heat, like it's irrelevant, because you're going to get, like you said, 2 undrafted players and maybe Tyler Hero.
And Tyler Hero's not anything special either. I hate Tyler Hero. He sucks.
Yeah, like that's
he's a
not
20
even,
point per game scorer at most, and he can't defend. Like, I don't know. The Blazers can't rebuild around Tyler Hero. He's not like that. No. He's a young asset that you would.
You think of these
star.
major blockbuster trades in the NBA, and every single trade there's a guy where it's like, wait, like, yeah, Paul George went to the Clippers, but they lost the hell out of that trade. Like, Shea is now there, and they have 7 first-round picks from the Clippers, right? You look at trades like that, and Dame, in my opinion, even though he's, I think, 33 now, I think he has more trade value than Paul George did at that time.
Yeah.
After all those injuries, after a rough stint in OKC, and OKC got a bag for him, and it was just him that they gave up. Damian Lillard is more than that. So, like you said, the Bucks are a fantastic team that they have a deep bench, a deep roster, and they have all of their assets aligned to go out and make a blockbuster move. You could see Drew Holiday move. You could see Marshawn Beauchamp get moved. There's a lot of guys that, you know, on that roster that are maybe at the end of the bench, maybe coming off the bench, that in 4 or 5 years, when they're 25, 26 years old, they could be a pretty good player in the NBA, and maybe even more than that. So there's more than a package available from Milwaukee, and that's probably just waiting on the front door of the GM of the Portland Trailblazers, and he probably wants to take it. That's how I picture it, and it's probably not just the Bucks. There is a ton of teams that want Damian Lillard. I would say almost every team in the NBA that doesn't have 15 point guards like the Golden State Warriors wants Damian Lillard. So there are deals aligned, and there's just one guy with a no trade clause on his contract shutting everything down because he only wants to go to one team. This isn't free agency. It's a trade. You don't have a choice at the end of the day. Like, if there's multiple options, the GM goes to your agent and is like, hey, 12 of these teams just offered us a crazy bag, right? No. Dame wants to go to the Heat. Like, no, that's not. Like, you gotta give us a little room to work with. Like, you can't just say, oh, I want to go to this team that has nothing to give you guys in return.
So here's my stance on the whole declining to go to certain teams, right? You signed a contract to play for the Portland Trailblazers, right? And you want to get out of that contract essentially and go somewhere else. Legally, you have to fulfill your contract with the Trailblazers. They can trade you wherever you want, and you're not listening. You're saying you're going to hold out if you're going to go to Phoenix or wherever it may be, right? What gives you the right? You signed the contract. If you didn't want to be traded to X, Y, or Z, why didn't you sign a no trade clause in that contract? It doesn't make any sense to me why he's doing this right now. Like, yeah, Portland hasn't given you the best chance at winning. But why are you not fulfilling your contractual obligation and going to place? It's not like you're not going to get paid if you get traded to Milwaukee, if you get traded to Philly, if you get traded to the Knicks. You will get your bag. You will get $50-60 million at the end of the last year of your contract, regardless of where you go. And he's the one who signed the contract. If you didn't want to be in Portland, why didn't you walk? So stop being a stickler when it comes to picking where you want to be traded. That's kind of. I kind of want to move on from this because nothing's happening. Absolutely nothing is happening. And the only people that are reporting on this subject matter right now are people with no profile pictures in their Twitter bio. Because, like, remember in the beginning of free agency, the guy who was like NBA trade rumors who predicted like 3 things right? Yeah, that guy would tweet out things and then delete them if they were wrong. So he was literally throwing shit at a wall and seeing what was sticking. And then people believed him, and then he got banned on Twitter because he was doing that. And he's the one who started all this rumor shit. And now look, there's nothing going on, and he's still reporting. All right, last NBA news that we should talk about. Jaylen Brown. Right? This has been an overlooming subject of conversation the last 2 or 3 off seasons where we've been talking, do we want to re-sign him? Do we want to trade him? Is he going to be in a deal for KD? Stuff like that. And this is kind of the first offseason where it's been public that the Celtics are working to extend Jaylen Brown. And in the most recent news, the reports that came out said that this contract would make Jaylen Brown the highest paid player in NBA history. He'd be due $70 million in the last year of his contract. Griff, what are your thoughts on this? Because I know you're a JB guy.
Those numbers make me want to throw up. $70 million in the final year of a deal. And not only that, but the highest paid player in NBA history for somebody that's, ultimately not the best player on your team is just kind of the way that I'm looking at it. And I'm a big Jaylen Brown guy, but once Tatum's up for a deal, how much money are we going to give him? He's going to be making $100 million the last year of his deal by the time that he's up for a contract. And when's that, next season? Or
2 years.
2 years? We're going to be paying 2 guys our whole payroll, and then Peyton Pritchard's going to be starting at the 1 because we're not going to move him ever. He's locked. By the way, he is locked into the Celtics. He's not. Remember when he requested a trade?
Yeah, I remember when Malcolm Brogdon got traded for like 5 hours, and he's still on this team too.
Oh yeah, he better go. But no, Jaylen Brown, I love him to death. I don't think that he should be the highest paid player in NBA history at any point in time. It's like when Kirk Cousins was like the first to sign on that major QB deal, that like he was the first one to get all of that money. This is kind of what it looks like for Jaylen Brown. Kirk Cousins, I'm comparing him to Jaylen Brown right now. Kirk Cousins is a hell of a football player, by the way.
Both can't use their left hand.
Seen that. Exactly. There's just so many flaws in his game, in Jaylen Brown's game, and Jaylen Brown is such a great leader that if he were to make all this money, we would have to be asking a lot more from him than what he's currently giving us, to be honest. We should be asking for all NBA first team. We should be asking for all-star starter, and we should be asking for a couple of rings.
And MVP. To be the highest paid player in the NBA should indicate that you are the best player in the NBA. That's how it works.
JB's made all-NBA second team once, right?
I think he made third team this year or second team. He definitely made a team this
second team this year.
Yeah.
So I think that's his only one.
If the NBA PA screwed over the franchises basically this year. I hate this new whatever they call it, the new contract rules, right? Mm-hmm. Where the luxury tax and all this stuff, it screws over small market teams. I mean, I'm not saying the Celtics are a small market team, they're the opposite. But when it comes to owners paying the luxury tax, right? I hate, this is a stupid comparison, but like in our Madden franchise, we can re-sign the stars we built with no repercussion, right? Like, in essentially the new NBA PA, whatever, just took that away from these teams. Where it's like, oh shit, we have to stay under the luxury tax, but we've drafted these 3 players and we've developed them into being stars. Now one of them has to go. I hate that that's a thing. And it's just stupid. But Jaylen Brown doesn't deserve to be the highest paid player in the NBA. Like, what is Jason Tatum going to request when he's up for a contract? Like, he signed a Supermax a few years ago. Deserved. He's been All-NBA first team. He's been top 5 in MVP voting. He's been all-star starters. He won all-star game MVP, conference finals MVPs. He's delivered. He's one of the best players in the NBA. He's a top 5 player in the NBA. He's delivered on his Supermax. Jaylen Brown is a top 20 player in the NBA. Why is he being paid like a top 1 player in the NBA? I love Jaylen Brown. Do not get me wrong. He is the best number 2 player in the NBA. But that's what he is. He's a number 2 player. Yeah, you can go to Detroit and be the best player on that team and not win and be highly paid, but is that worth it? I don't know. I think that they need to find a middle ground, but I do think that if it comes down to it, the Celtics will give them that money.
I mean, I agree with all you guys. I'm obviously a big JB guy. He's not. I hate saying he's not worth the money because, like,
I know,
like it's such a bad statement. Like, I hate saying he's not worth it because he is worth everything that he can possibly do for us. The money that involves like highest paid NBA player in history is crazy. Like you said, like Jason Tatum isn't getting that number, and like he easily can. Jaylen Brown gets paid this like basically the super duper max. And what does Jason Tatum think about that? Like obviously, like I feel like him knowing what we've seen, he can't be mad about it, but like he can't also like he's gonna be happy for him. But like when you pay him, like the other thing about the value of everyone else in the league is gonna go up. So that also that implicates the entire league as well. Someone like Jaylen Brown getting paid that much money. What about all of the other forwards in the NBA, in the guards in the NBA that their price tags are just going to keep going up, up, up. Free agency numbers are going up, 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 which is obviously what the PA wants. They want their players to get paid more money and the star players to get paid even more money. So from a numbers standpoint, it's a hard decision. I think the Celtics need to pay him. I hope they can find some kind of middle ground. Like you said, Stav, I think they're going to probably end up doing it. It's the best move for the franchise. I think if you trade him, I don't really realistically, we've tried to move him multiple times, and I don't like the reciprocation, obviously, that someone gives back when you put them on the block to get traded. Like he's obviously not happy about his name being out in trades in the prior years or even like being circulated about it. And he obviously has made statements about the love he's receiving in Boston. So he's not afraid to leave. We know that. You lock him up, it's your decision to trade him after that. You have to do something now.
What I'm just nervous about is, first off, how do you make $70 million in a year and you don't have a signature shoe? I just don't get $70 million in the NBA by not being the best player in the NBA. And Jaylen Brown, I feel like we're teetering around the line, we're friends with JB. JB isn't anything he's not Tracy McGrady level type thing. He's not a 6'7" guard that can dribble all around the court and hit crazy shots. At the end of the day, Jaylen Brown is a guy that comes and you know exactly what he's giving you. And we love that consistency, right? Until playoff time, we still know what he's going to give us, and we get a little nervous by it, right? He's not someone that we are, be honest, 100% confident in right now. I can guarantee you that at some point I will be, but he gives me nerves. I get nervous watching him in a game 6 where if Jason Tatum's not doing anything, which most of the time he's fucking not, Jaylen Brown has to step up and be the guy. And in the Heat series, Jaylen Brown looked like an idiot. It was as simple as that. They were just forcing him left, and he couldn't do anything about it. And to then go after a loss like that and give him that type of money, what kind of franchise do we look like? Who are we going to be keeping around the franchise? Because what kind of money are we going to have? There's a very, very gray area where if we give him this money, do we think that we can put a roster around our two guys, or are we just going to have to deal with our two guys with a bunch of scrubs for the rest of their careers? I understand making the money, but somebody get Jaylen Brown an endorsement deal or something. Give him money somewhere else. JT is on that Jordan bag right now, so when it comes time for him to make some money with his NBA contract again, he's not going to be taking a shit ton of money compared to probably what a lot of people are at that time, because, and this is in a hypothetical situation, if JB takes this huge contract because Jason Tatum is not going to be able to get that contract because then, oh, wait, Rob will. Look at his knee. He has brand new knees by this time because this is 4 years in the future. Like, he's a starting center in the league, let's say, and other people have progressed, and we've drafted kids by then that are up for a new contract now. There's only so much money, and the luxury tax screws it because a team like the Boston Celtics, they have all the money in the world to give. And if they could New York Yankees it, they would. They would give everybody money, and it would be as easy as that. And the conversations about players making so much money would be even louder because it would be insane the numbers we'd be seeing right now if there was no luxury tax. But there is, and that's part of the game. We have to stay under that number, and to stay out under that number, I think that Jaylen Brown could get a max deal, but I don't think he should be the highest paid player in the NBA. Come on. Saying that at the end of this, saying that out loud, Jaylen Brown, the highest paid player in the NBA, that is so much higher than we've held him his whole career. That just doesn't make the numbers don't add up to how we talk about him.
Yeah. But with all this being said, I don't want this to come off as Jaylen Brown slander. We love Jaylen Brown.
I still think you should get a max deal. $70 million in the final year of a contract is
ridiculous. Not
unrealistic.
Even Nikola Jokic is making that, who is the best player in the NBA, or Luka Doncic, guys like that. But Jaylen Brown, he's an all-star, right? He's an all-NBA guy. He is a 25, 27 point per game scorer in the NBA. He is a very good player. Give him his max. Just adjust the numbers a little bit, make it a little more team-friendly, maybe give him his no-trade clause to make it more appealing, and then let's roll. Like, let's not forget how good Jaylen Brown is, but when it came down to it in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals when Jason Tatum broke his ankle or snapped his ankle, whatever you want to call it, Jaylen Brown, the light was on him, and he failed. He failed miserably, and that's the reason why the Celtics didn't come through in Game 7, because of the injury to Jason Tatum when they needed Jaylen Brown the most. We're having a completely different conversation right now if Jaylen Brown dropped 30 in that Game 7 and the Celtics won.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So we'll preface it. We'll end it by saying that. Let's move on to the world of baseball. How about the Cincinnati Reds? The last time we talked about baseball was God knows when. The last episode, a month ago, 2 months ago. But Elly De La Cruz is electric. You know, he gets called up immediately in the entire world of baseball. The light is shined on the Cincinnati Reds for the first time in how long? I don't know. But this is great for the sport. And they're calling up guys left and right, and they're competing. They're 2 games sitting out of a wild card right now, when last year they were one of the worst teams in baseball. But it's not just Elly De La Cruz, who, in fact, in 36 games is batting .280 with 4 home runs, 16 RBIs, and 17 stolen bases, over a 700 OPS. He has a 2.8 WAR, and he's throwing guys out, throwing 97 miles an hour from third base. He can play third and short, switch hitter, absolutely electric. But they also just called up Christian Encarnacion Strand, I picked up on fantasy. I don't even know his name. It's embarrassing. Encarnacion Strand, who in the 5 games he's been called up, he has 4 RBIs, a home run. He's batting over 300, scoring runs. He's doing his job. That team is really coming into its own, right? And they still have guys like Nick Lodolo, who's on the 60-day IL, who is going to come back. And guys like Matt McCain, who they called up earlier in this year. This infield is coming into its own. It's becoming a very good team. Watch out for the Cincinnati Reds. They're probably going to be one of the more fun, exciting teams for years to come.
Yeah, and there's a lot of excitement over there. And it's kind of a shifting of the tides from the Votto days where Joey Votto was a very fun player and still is, but you have someone, and this is a guy that came right out and bursted onto the scene. It was pretty much right when he got called up. Everyone was excited about him, and he has done nothing but deliver. And at 21 years old, like you said, he can play everywhere in the infield. He's a switch hitter. He's 6'5". There's not a lot of people that we've seen like this, and it's really special what we're watching. And to see what he could do in his first year, If they can continue on the pace that they're on, and you said they're 2 games out of wild card, they're 2.5 games out of the division. They could, get into the playoffs very easily. And I'm not guaranteeing anything in the playoffs. I don't think that they're one of those miracle teams, but they do have a solid supporting cast around Ellie, and there is a lot of ways that they could go from here. Now, could they make a couple of moves before the deadline? Yes, and I expect them to beef up that pitching and see where that can take them. I can easily see them winning the NL Central. The Central on both sides, the NL and AL, in my opinion, is just trash this year. The Brewers are sitting atop of it. Obviously, they're 11 games over 500. It's not bad, but the Reds are in the perfect position to go out and make a push. You named a couple of guys that they have, a couple of guys that they moved up as well. They got a solid closer. They have a good infield, and they have a chance. Like, they can easily get over this hump, get into the playoffs. I just don't think that this year is anything like special. I've seen a lot of people saying like, oh, they could make the NLDS or the NLCS, and I can't see that, to be honest. I think Ellie De La Cruz is something special and something that we've never seen before, and I think he's going to continue to be. But there's either 2 ways you could go from here. This could be like a Bryce Harper situation, or it could be a Yasiel Puig situation. So I think it's very, very early.
Yeah.
I mean, it is very early for this team. I mean, baseball's awesome when the Reds are awesome, so that's always a plus for the league. But, I mean, there's still a lot of baseball left to play. There's still a deadline we got to get through. I don't really know. For a team like the Reds, I don't really know where you're at. I mean, they might – I don't see them making a move, but I don't see them doing really anything at all. I think they just ride the course. The next year, fresh year, a lot of good players on your team. See where you're at then. I think you ride the season out. Wherever you end up is wherever you end up, and I think wherever they do end up is going to be a very good season for them, especially in the past years.
Mm-hmm. And, they're young. Spencer Steer, Jonathan India, Hunter Green, who just got put up last year and was impressing with his fastball. Those are all guys that are under 26 years old. They have a lot of time to gel together, a lot of time to work together. And I'm missing out on a few names. Like you said, Encarnacion Strand just got called up. Let's see what he can do for them.
TJ Friedel's actually been really good for them in the outfield.
Yep, exactly. They have a lot of guys where it would be nice to see them gel together. But it's one of those where let's see how patient this front office is. Let's see if they want to wait and see all these guys pan out. I hope they do, because that would be very fun for years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's move on from the Cincinnati Reds. And we'll do a segment that I feel like we always do when we talk about baseball, disappointing teams. And we're going to go through this list that we put together just one by one. And we'll pick we'll pick like 2 of them that are the most disappointing, I guess. So the list that we have right now, if you guys want to add somebody, go ahead. Padres, Cardinals, Yankees, Mets, Mariners. The 2 most disappointing on this list, in my opinion, are the Padres and the Cardinals 1 and 2. Padres specifically, they have an all-star team. They don't necessarily have many holes in their roster, and they're sitting like 12 games under 500. And then the Cardinals, Yadier Molina, they lost him and he retired, a legendary player. Was his leadership really that important for this team to suck and to be 15 games under 500 as they are? Like, what the hell is going on in those 2 teams?
Yeah, the Cardinals are a team that, throughout the whole season, they never had a chance. It feels like they didn't start hot. They didn't get hot. They've kind of just been floating around 10 games under 500. And they've caught a couple of wins in a row. They just swept the Marlins. They had a good series against the Nats. And with the corner infielders that you have, there is no reason to not be atop of the NL Central. You have such a solid team. You have great pitching, and I guess the battery's all screwed up because remember earlier in the season, Wilson Contreras was whatever he was going through with the manager, but it was almost like they were like fighting game in and game out. about calling balls. It's a mess over there in St. Louis. It's hard to even describe when you have a lineup like this, and the Padres are, I would say, on a different level because they have like borderline superstars. I would say superstars on their team, and the Cardinals do too. Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, those are guys that are special. And in the World Baseball Classic, we remember shitting on them. We were like, oh, the Cardinals can't do anything, and it translated into the season. This team has done nothing but disappoint. The Cardinals are probably my most disappointing team this season because I genuinely thought that they had a chance to do something. Another team I want to add there, but I feel like they're just always here. They just like belong there is the Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah.
That goes without being said, but I do just want to throw that name on the list because that's a team we don't even have to talk about. We know why they're disappointing. If they're not, first place in the AL West with the best player and then the second best player in the league, then what are you doing? So the Yankees, shout out to the Yankees for being last in the AL East. Exactly where I expected them. Not disappointed in that, but they are a disappointing team. And the Mets, they are year in and year out the same exact team. And it doesn't matter what their wins and losses are. No matter what, they will never do anything. They deal with injuries throughout the whole year. They deal with inconsistency around the whole year. You go into the year and you think Daniel Vogelback is going to be like your DH and your everyday guy. You're an idiot. Pete Alonso, sucks. I'm sorry. Pete Alonso was an all-star this year because the Mets needed an all-star. Who else on this team? Francisco Lindor, he was good 5 years ago. Brett Beatty, a lot of promise. That's the only guy. Brett Beatty and Jeff McNeil, those are the guys that, are shedding a little bit of light on this team. There's no consistency in this team. There's no health on this team. And Daniel Vogelback is their DH.
It really doesn't make any sense why this team isn't competing. Like, your starting rotation is
insane.
Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Kodai Senga, Carlos Carrasco, and they have a fifth guy who I'm blanking on right now. But that rotation should lead you to be in a competition for at least the top of the division. They're sitting in second to last in that division, only ahead of the Nationals, who are actively rebuilding. So
very actively. The Nationals are the worst team in the league.
Yeah. Them and the A's compete to be the biggest dumpster fire in MLB history. But, it makes no sense why the New York Mets, who have the highest payroll in baseball, you know who the second highest payroll in baseball is? The New York Yankees. Shout out the city of New York City for being a great city to visit, but fucking sucking at all their sports. They're terrible. They're terrible. Oh, my God.
When you take a look at this list that we have here, it's just this list, we can change it from disappointing teams to MLB flash sale at the deadline, and except for the Yankees, because they still think they can buy at the deadline and win the World Series.
They have nobody to sell, and they can't buy anybody.
And they can't buy anyone either, but they still think they can win.
Yeah, they're stuck.
We added the White Sox too because they're also selling the whole goddamn team.
Yeah, I threw the White Sox in there once you said that.
I mean, the Angels think they're going to sell, and no one wants to buy unless it's Shohei.
The Cubs aren't even that disappointing though. The Cubs are the third, and
they spent.
Cubs are still all right.
They spent a lot of money to be third.
Oh, they spent a lot of money.
So that's kind of how I was thinking about it. It's like you go out and you get guys like Chris. No, I'm sorry, I almost said Chris Bryant. You get Cody Bellinger. Marcus Stroman. You get all these guys who just aren't. They're all right. Marcus Stroman's good. Cody Bellinger has flashes, but why aren't they competing? And Patrick Wisdom's still there. Who's the Japanese player that they got last year? Seiya Suzuki, who's kind of been under the radar. He's been all right, but when you have guys coming over from Japan like Masataka Yoshida and Shohei Ohtani, who Masataka Yoshida is leading the American League in average. No one's talking about that. And we're not talking about the Red Sox today. I said that before this episode. Shohei Ohtani is the best player in the history of baseball. That's kind of who you're getting compared to when you're kind of being under the radar. I mean, he's getting paid all right, but when you're playing for a team as high profile as the Chicago Cubs, who they want to be competing, you gotta have to deliver a little bit more. You have to give that extra to help the team not sell at the deadline.
I mean, you also
Okay.
going back to the Mets really quick. Like, I'm sorry, but like their fans did it to themselves. Like, they swore they were gonna like go
Except Frank
undefeated
the
this
Tank.
year. Yeah, he was the only one that like literally was like, no, we're not gonna be good this year. Like, why couldn't they just be like somewhat like humble about like, okay, like we could be good. Like, why not like expect like a decent season? Like, now they're having like an absolute like shit show, and they're like freaking out about it. But like in reality, like that was in the books for them potentially, like it always is. If I were to pick probably the most disappointing teams on this, we haven't even talked about the Mariners, but like the Mariners still have like a chance. Like I still think they can buy at the deadline and have a chance. But like it's got to be the Cardinals and the Padres. Like the Padres, like realistically, they're thinking about selling Soto. Like I'm being honest, like that's like a thought that's definitely going through their mind.
Yeah, I mean the Cardinals are 9 games out of a wild card spot. The Padres are 6 games out of a wild card spot. So it's like obviously there's a ton of season left, but for the Cardinals, I just can't see them turning it around. I could see the Padres doing a little something, maybe sneaking into the wild card. I cannot see the Cardinals doing anything. Like the Padres have a chance, in my opinion. The Cardinals do not, even with the pitching, even with the corner infielders that they have, and even with Lars Nootbaar and Tommy Edman and guys like that. For the NL, the Cardinals are my pick. For the AL, it's the Yankees, even though they're 3.5 games out of the wild card. I just think that, I mean, like you said, Stav, they can't go out and get anybody, and they can't give anybody up. They can't do anything. They are just stuck there. So when Aaron Judge comes back, I didn't know Aaron Judge was all of a sudden like the biggest WAR guy ever, because his WAR better be out of the roof after seeing what this team does without him. When he comes back, if he's not George Herman in real life, then they're screwed. Like he needs to be Babe Ruth. He needs to be like everything ever for them to have a chance this year. The Yankees, like the Mets, maybe it's the city of New York, they're the same team every year.
And players who leave those teams excel wherever they go. Except Javier Baez, that guy sucks. But Joey Gallo is excelling wherever he goes. Like guys who leave the city of New York play a lot better because their fans are garbage and they set unrealistic expectations and they fucking hate you if you don't bat 500 with 45 home runs in 6 games. Like it makes no sense to me why New York still has this pride. Like I hate to say it, but the Yankees kind of remind me. No, I can't even say that. The Yankees remind me of the Cowboys. I was going to say the Celtics, but at least the Celtics have gone back to the finals. But like the Yankees remind me of the Cowboys, where you spend all of the money in the world. You can't make it to an NFC champ. You can't make it to a Super Bowl. You can't make it to a World Series. And you just live off of your rings in the past. And it makes no sense to me why the Yankees, they have the highest payroll in baseball. And guys go there. Carlos Rodon threw up a shitter yesterday. He's 2 starts in. He's been terrible. He has like an 8 ERA. That was the guy who was supposed to save your season. And do you guys know that podcast, John Boy? I think it's John Boy, when they have Aaron Boone on.
Yeah, talking to Yanks.
Yeah. He's more delusional than the fans.
Oh my God, he's terrible.
What is
He's
wrong
like, oh yeah,
with
we got some guys in the farm that will be coming up soon. And then you look at like their farm and you look at like their prospects rankings and they're all like 15 years old. Like they don't have anybody. They don't have anybody.
It's like shout out to the guys who host that podcast. They rip into Aaron Boone.
Oh, they give it to him too.
And shout out to them. They're really good at. I only see clips on TikTok or Twitter or whatever it may be. But those guys are as real as it gets. They go in and they're like, listen, why did this happen in the 7th inning? This was a terrible coaching decision. You should have sent them home, or you should have done this, this, and this. Why did you bring this guy in? And then they're like, the offense or the pitching isn't the problem. We're losing games 3-0. The offense is the problem. And then he's like, Carlos Rodon's going to come back. He's saying like, Aaron Judge is going to come back eventually when other reports are contradicting that. So he's
Rose said he's like, I'm going to play through the pain as if like that's going to change the season. Like you might as well just heal up at this point.
Yeah, who's too valuable of an asset right now. How much are they paying him over 12 years? Like $500 million or whatever they're paying him. It's like you're giving him all this money. I doubt that the team wants him to return with this injury because you got to look at the future of this franchise. They're in last place in the AL East. That's embarrassing. Shout out to Baltimore Orioles, though. They're first place in the AL East right now.
That's insane. But I say we kick it to a little NFL talk here.
Absolutely.
And it's been a long time coming, and we got to start things off hot here with some big news. DeAndre Hopkins has found a new home, and he has gone to the place where wide receivers go to die, the Tennessee Titans. DeAndre Hopkins, congratulations. You're going to get 3 to 4 touches a game. Have a good time having a front row seat to watching the Derrick Henry show.
Yeah. So, you know what I think is the funniest part about this is his demands that or not his demands, his requests as to what team or what franchise he wanted to go into. A stable GM. They just hired a new GM. A veteran quarterback. Ryan Tannehill or Will Levis. Flip a coin. He wants to win now. The Titans didn't even win their division last year. And I'm not saying this to compare to the Patriots because like they didn't fall into any of those categories either. Like Bill Belichick is a terrible GM in my opinion. Mac Jones is not a proven quarterback. They have a winning culture, but like he just none of his demands were met other than like having a good coach with Mike Vrabel, who I think Mike Vrabel is still one of the best coaches in the NFL. He's a defensive genius, but it's just funny how he had these requests and just none of them met with the Tennessee Titans.
And he was the same guy where it was like we were kind of just waiting for him. And I feel like the only reason he didn't sign with the Patriots was that one time that he accidentally ate like the mac and cheese that had pork in it or something in Boston.
Oh, the clam chowder with bacon.
Yeah. Yes, with bacon. I feel like that was the only reason. I feel like he's just that kind of guy. Like if one thing goes wrong for him in the location, like he was probably living in Massachusetts for a couple of weeks just to test it out. And then he went to Tennessee and then he realized like, oh wow, Tennessee's fun. But then he forgot about like what he was actually doing. Like he forgot that he was about to play for the Titans. He was like, wow, I kind of like living in Tennessee. Let's go here. And he's going to deal with the repercussions of having Ryan Tannehill as their quarterback. I don't think it'll be Will Levis now. I think that it could have been if DeAndre Hopkins wasn't on the team. I think that now they're just going to settle in with Ryan Tannehill for another year, let Will Levis sit, and see if Ryan Tannehill can give good balls to DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe once they figure out that he can't do that, instead of just running the ball 60 times a game, maybe they'll put in Will Levis and let him stretch that arm out. But, I mean, I don't know what he expects to do for this team. I don't know what the team expects to do for him. This team is a fringe playoff team, in my opinion. I don't think that they'll make the playoffs. The AFC South runs through Jacksonville now, so I just think
Jacksonville's going to be sick.
They're going to be disgusting. They're going to be
like
insane.
Calvin Ridley on that team. They got some players, dude. That team could be a lot of fun.
So I feel like this has been the episode of me just like not believing in people or not believing in teams, but all of these people and teams just are giving nothing to me. And DeAndre Hopkins, like people have been saying, has gone through terrible quarterback situations, but is this the worst one?
Has to be.
The worst starter. I mean, obviously he's had some injuries, like with
but that's what I'm saying. Like the worst situation going into a season.
Absolutely.
Honestly, I don't care how good DeAndre Hopkins is. How is he going to get the ball in his hands? That's the real question. Like he can catch 15 screen passes all game long because Tannehill can't throw the ball. Like that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me because it's not like he's like an explosive receiver when it comes to rack or yak.
He's not. He goes out and catches balls.
And he's a playmaker when it comes to, all right, it's 3rd and 7. Someone run over the middle of the field and get this high ball. That's what he does. That's what he's excellent at. That's why he's one of the best, or was one of the best receivers in the NFL. That's not Tennessee's style. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill's probably the worst quarterback that he's played with or that he's going to play with. He's not good. He's a terror. He's not good. And he's getting paid another guy who's getting paid a shit ton of money to be mid. What did you get? All right. I don't care about it. Brian Tannehill's terrible. They could have just re-signed AJ Brown. That's what they should have done. But now they just signed 31-year-old DeAndre Hopkins, and you could have had 25-year-old AJ Brown, who's electric. Did you guys hear about Jordan Addison?
No.
Rookie for the Vikings, just drafted in first-round pick, was caught going 150 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. He got arrested last night.
Was he? Yeah. Is that all the details that have been released?
Yeah. As of right now, there's no further reports.
Well, there goes that.
And Denzel Mims just got traded to the Lions. Shout out to Detroit. They're trying to win. They're
trying to do something.
I mean, that division's wide open. Oh, I can't wait for a month from now when we do our – oh, God.
Jordan Addison, that's not the kid from South Carolina, is it?
USC, Southern California.
Oh, the kid from Southern California. Okay.
Dude, I don't know about you guys, but, like, this year I just miss football more than any other year in the past.
Yeah, there's something different coming up this year. I'm just saying.
Dude, it's just in the air. Everybody's tweeting about it, too, because I was just, like I was curious the other day. Big Cat
There's something different about this year coming
stuff
up.
About it, PFT, like just random people on Twitter, just like, why is football different in the air this year? It's gonna be something. I think we're gonna.
Oh, I know who Jordan Addison is now. He's the guy that went from Pitt to USC. Okay.
Yeah, but this upcoming year, even college football is college
football is gonna be great.
Something feels off about like all like non-football sports that's been like going on.
I know.
Like I don't know.
Like I don't give a damn about basketball right now. Like I'm excited for college ball. I'm not that excited for NBA.
Dude,
but
I don't care about the NBA right now.
About.
Like
football is all I can think about.
Dude,
like this time of year, like I'm usually like glued to like hopefully like Woe's dropping some crazy like bombs right now. Like nothing, no one's splashing. Like I know we talked about it for like 20 minutes, but like the only news is just Damian Lillard just waiting at the front doors of Miami, just like hoping that he's going to get access. Like
he already bought the house,
bro.
Yeah,
literally,
that's all we got.
In 10 years, I wouldn't be surprised if the NBA drops to like fourth in viewership out of the four major sports of football. Football is going to be number one, but then I wouldn't be surprised if it goes NHL, MLB, NBA, or switch MLB and NHL. Like. The NBA is turning into a shit product.
MLB kind of turned it around. Like this is a big year for them. They turned it around.
This is a huge
post-COVID
year for the MLB.
Yeah. Like they're doing good. And
post-COVID.
Manfred's up for his. Apparently, he's getting extended. That was in the news the past couple of days.
I mean,
Manfred up for a new car. Is he getting the Supermax?
Yeah, apparently they said they like him. They want him to stay. So,
as much as everyone shits on Manfred, I mean, we're kind of switching sports, but like. He's done okay. Like these new rules.
Say the same about Goodell. Say the same about Goodell.
Goodell this year.
Goodell's the best commissioner in the major in U.S. major sports.
Adam Silver never has any stupid thing.
Well, why are we talking about the NBA then?
Yeah, I know we are talking about the NBA.
Why is NBA down because
it's like for me, like I'm not enjoying watching basketball. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. Like,
I think Adam Silver has never done anything wrong. I just don't think he's done much.
Basketball is my favorite sport of all time, and I hate watching the NBA. Like I'm gonna be honest. Like the playoffs, like I'm watching the Celtics. Like I hate it. Like I still didn't like it. Like, college ball is awesome. Like I'm excited for that. But like day one regular season of the NBA, like I'm gonna watch, but like I'm not like, oh my god, the NBA's back. Like I don't feel like I'm 12 anymore watching like
I don't get shivers down my hoop. Yeah, like, no, I don't get shivers down my spine thinking about opening day for the NBA.
Yeah,
I get chills
like
thinking
October
about
30th.
Yeah. I get chills about opening day in baseball, and I get chills about opening weekend and Thursday night kickoff.
Oh, well, Thursday night
kickoff.
That's just there's just something floating around.
There's 49 days until that Thursday night.
Everybody loves that Thursday night. And that Sunday when you wake up and you make a screwdriver, you have a great bacon, egg, and cheese. It's just different. You know you're about to have some wings. You know that red zone.
And you know that you're not getting off of your couch for 7 hours because you will not see a single commercial.
No. And then Griff, the Saturday night opening day of college football, week 0, when we bet the over in Hawaii.
We bet Hawaii. We bet Hawaii +7. They lost by 60.
That's real. It was like plus, whatever it was. That was
they were getting 7. They were getting 7. They were +7.
And we were talking about it.
Brand new system.
Yeah. We were talking about it all day, and like they lost by 60.
The game started at midnight. We were up till 3 a.m. watching this team get beat down. Like that doesn't happen. The NBA, if I lose a bet, if I bet on the Portland Trailblazers +5 against whoever, the Minnesota Timberwolves, if the Timberwolves win by 40, I'm not sitting there like, wow, like it's still 3 a.m. I'm watching a West Coast game and I'm like enjoying this. Like I was watching Hawaii get shit on, I was just laughing. Like if I was the NBA, there is something different about the NBA. I like Adam Silver, and I'm not saying that he's a bad commissioner. I'm just saying that, like I said earlier, he hasn't really done anything wrong. But what has he done to progress us forward?
You're right.
You know, you try to throw in this midseason tournament, and from the beginning, right when they released that video, there was nothing for me. Were you guys like, oh my God, there's a midseason tournament in the NBA? No, that's not that exciting, right? And it should be. It should be. Should it not?
It should be like very exciting. Like we should be like, oh my God, wait, like halfway through the season.
We didn't even talk about that.
Like 2 games during the week are actually going to mean something other than like, oh, like someone didn't feel like playing today for the Celtics. Like they're just on rest. Like
I can't wait to see Kabungele and Justin Chimbagne play in the midseason tournament.
Are we gonna hang? What franchise hangs a banner for winning the midseason tournament?
We don't have enough space.
No, I'm not saying the Celtics. I'm saying what team will.
First off,
the Knicks.
Yeah, we're not going to say the Celtics because first off, the Celtics aren't going to win it.
No,
the Celtics are not.
Someone like the Bulls are going to win it.
It's going to be the Kings.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout.
Yeah, they would. They will hang a banner,
and they will hang a banner,
and they're gonna spam the beam for like a week.
The beam will stay lit for a month. The beam will stay lit until the end of the regular season. They're the regular season champs.
Are we gonna like? I'm not saying like hypothetically, if the Celtics win the midseason tournament, what is our reaction?
Cool, win the real one.
That's just game 35, bro. Like there's 40 more to go.
Like. Actually, it's technically game. It's only one game. It doesn't even count. The
championship game doesn't count. That's a consolation game.
The semifinals and the championship don't count.
Oh, the semis don't either?
Don't either?
Whenever you go to Vegas, it doesn't count. I'm dead serious. What happens in Vegas?
But
they love Vegas. Just put a team there. That would be more exciting.
Yeah.
It'd be a hell of a lot more exciting.
The Blazers are going to relocate to Vegas.
Where are they going to play that tournament? At UNLV?
No, the eyeball. You know the giant sphere?
Bro, that's a concert hall.
Well, where else are they going to play it? You're going to play it in the Summer League?
The Summer League
stadium?
Like
40
no, they're gonna play at wherever the Golden Knights play. But
that court's going to suck. It's going to be so slippery.
Yeah, they've never had a court there either, so I don't know. It's going to be a brand new court.
It's a disaster. Someone's going to get hurt, and then we're going to be like, are we seriously?
They got hurt, and
that's why I hope the Celtics don't make it to the semis. I hope the Heat do with Damian Lillard.
The Heat would hang up.
The Heat are going to win the midseason tournament and then trade for Dame.
And then lose everything.
All right, so anyways, there's a bunch of running backs in the NFL. They're not getting paid at all, so it's a hard cut. They're not getting paid at all. Stav was very intrigued on talking about this topic, so we're going to switch over to it very swiftly, very quickly. There's a few names up in the air. Where are these guys going? How much money are they making? Is Saquon Barkley not going to be playing? And those are words that we heard from a podcast that Saquon Barkley was being interviewed in, where he was talking about how much he loves the city of New York, how much he loves the franchise, but at the end of the day, it's not just about him. It's about the running back group, the position as a whole, who year in and year out, kind of similar to the tight end situation, I would say worse than the tight end situation, just get absolutely screwed when it comes to contract negotiation time. There's no one getting, that bigger and better deal, which leads to the franchise tag not getting hired either. And now they're just in this like holdout where everybody's getting tagged, but all these franchise tags aren't a lot of money. And Tony Pollard's one of those names as well. And we don't really know what this could lead to. We've never really seen something like this. And this is at a very early stage of it still because, we haven't seen anybody not play a game. I feel like the last person that we saw with that was, what was it? Le'Veon Bell. Is that what you just said, Will?
Yeah.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell sat out, but that was because he wanted to trade. Like, these guys want to stay on their teams, but they're just not making their money.
Again, a running back, though.
Bro, James Conner fucked up the entire running back market because when Le'Veon Bell sat and then James Conner was
just like
the 1,000-yard rusher. Like,
well, that's the issue. They're like, no matter what, you can go out and get a running back anytime you want. Like next draft, there will be 5 to 6 running backs that can start in the NFL. That's just how the running back position is. Everybody's a running back. Like quarterbacks play quarterback in college. They come to the NFL, they play running back. Like there's guys that can and will take your position. So there is a big hold where the running back position is also one of the most likely to get hurt. Obviously, every single position in the NFL, you are likely to get hurt. But these guys, I don't want to say that they're interchangeable, but it's doable. And this is the position that it's most likely to be done in interchangeable wise. And we saw it with Zeke and Tony Pollard too, where, I mean, Tony Pollard at that point where he was pretty much their number one running back, now he's getting paid. Like he's getting a franchise tag because he was the backup for the past 3 years. And he's a guy that you can easily see as a running back one. There's a lot of players that can be running back ones in this league, and that's why they're not getting money. So I genuinely do not know how this will get figured out. I think it starts with Saquon Barkley getting a bag, though. I think Saquon's just going to get a bag, and then that will kind of level everything off a little bit. That's the way I see it. Stop.
Yeah, it's one of those things where running backs sell tickets. Running backs get fans excited, right? Like that's really all they are. But you look at the teams that have won the Super Bowl, their leading rusher. I think the highest paid leading rusher was, who was it? A few years back, someone was making like $1.6 million. Every other running back was under $1 million on their rookie contract. Running backs are expandable, to be honest. If I'm a GM and a guy like Josh Jacobs comes up to me and is like, hey, I want to get a bag. No disrespect to Josh Jacobs. He's excellent. But it's like, we're not going to give you a bag, but we're going to go draft somebody. Or we're going to go build our offensive line and develop a running back to become a 1,000-yard rusher. Right? Like, guys who are really – I'm struggling to think of guys in today's NFL other than like Derrick Henry who is worth Christian McCaffrey because he can play slot receiver. But like other than 3 or 4 guys, no one's worth that much money. If you want to win and win now, you don't pay a running back a max contract. It's not a smart investment. Like mathematically and business speaking, it's not a smart investment. Because look what happened with Jonathan Taylor last year. He sucked, and he was supposed to be the best running back in the NFL.
Yep, so, exactly. That's
that's
the tough part about the position. Yeah, I don't see running backs making that much more money. I could see it happening just because of like they have the money. All these teams have the money. It's just that like they could be using it somewhere else. So I can see someone like Saquon getting paid. I think Tony Pollard and Josh Jacobs are going to kind of stay still for a while. And, just like a lot of these guys in the league, I don't think that they have a ton of time left. The lifespan for a running back isn't that long. 2 solid contracts is a very, very long life in the NFL for a running back. And we don't see that often. We really don't.
I was going to say, I don't see them winning the battle. Like as much as like, it would be nice for these guys to get paid a ton of money, what these bigger names at running back bring to teams and stuff like that makes sense why they want more money. Like people are going to see Saquon in New York, like they're going to see Saquon, like they want to go see him play. But I just don't think like if they hold out or whatever happens, it's obviously still early. I just don't see them winning this battle like at all. I don't think it's even going to be close. Like I think like Saquon's going to get his check. He's going to get whatever he needs. They're going to figure it out, or he's going to figure out wherever he ends up. I just don't think like in reality for the rest of the running backs across the league, like we said, like teams are more willing to go out and draft a quarterback and pay a wide receiver more money, or pay an offensive lineman, pay someone on their defense. It sucks because they are easily expendable like that, but like for the business that they're in, it really like I don't see them winning this fight. It sucks, but like I just don't see it.
Now, Stav, do you see Saquon sitting out for some time, or do you think that he's good to go game one?
He'll play game one, and you know who else thinks that he should get paid is us. Do fine. Oh shit.
Oh goodness.
Oh no.
Hey, New York Giants! Did you forget who I am? I'm Saquon Barkley, the best running back in the NFL.
He's on a swing set right now. It's not focusing.
I'm Saquon Barkley. I'm looking for my bag. I'm looking for my contract. I still haven't got it. I don't know if you know who I am. I don't know if you forgot. I'm the captain of this team for the last 4 years.
All right, that's enough to do fine.
All I
That was long overdue. But yeah, I think he'll end up playing. He's a good player. I love Saquon. But there might be some guys who sit out. Like Josh Jacobs will probably sit out, but that's not going to make news because it's Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. He hasn't been good since he was in college. So
And last year.
And last year. But all right, let's move on to the last topic of the episode. We got a long one for you guys today, but we're gonna finish it off with a classic Inside the Five ranking of the new uniforms that have dropped so far this offseason. There's still a few to be officially released, like the Titans one, but we pretty much know what the Titans one is going to be anyways. They just haven't officially released it. So we'll be talking about that today. And we're all looking at the same list here. So I say we start from the top. This is a rankings of the jerseys. So I want to see if we agree here with the rankings of what this website has for us here, starting at 7 with the whiteout Cleveland Browns uniforms. And I just want to preface this by saying that I love whiteout uniforms. Icy whites, that's my thing. I love these uniforms. I'm going to say I love them.
Yeah, I do too. All right, hold on. I'm lagging because this article has way too many ads. Let me get out of this page. Griff, I'm going to rely on you for giving me the list in order. But are they ranking this by like 7 as being the best or 7 being the worst?
No, 7 being the worst.
Yeah, I think these are great.
I don't agree with
the
that.
article said while these uniforms are from the Browns' glory days, they especially feel a little lazy.
I don't think so at all. I think that these are great uniforms, and I'm a big fan of the new helmet. Like that's a pretty cool helmet. Yep. The jersey's a great throwback, and what they're doing with the stripes on the socks, I think that this is great. I think that this probably should be in the top 4.
I agree 100%. Well,
I think they need to be bumped up a few more spots. 7 is definitely not the number for them. Well, I mean, obviously, whenever there was one that came out today too, which I think should be at 7. But the helmets is awesome. Like we're finally going to see the Browns in a different helmet this year. Like that's like great news.
Their logo is literally the orange helmet, so it's gonna be pretty cool to see.
Like to be honest, like the Browns unis have been kind of boring for the past few years. Like this is nice.
And they'll have the dog at the 50-yard line now. Their new like dog logo.
Yep.
So they're making
awesome
moves. And their quarterback's a great guy. Next up, they have at number 6 the Minnesota Vikings.
I don't agree with
classic
this either,
throwbacks. First off, the Cleveland Browns ones clear this, and it's not even close. I want to say that. I like the uniform. But this isn't anything special. It's just a little throwback, and it's just, I like the gold outline on the lettering. but
The helmet, the matte helmet
stays the same. They have matte helmets already.
Yeah, they regular. Yeah, I just kind of realized that.
This one is the lazy one that they were talking about the Browns. This is the lazy one. I still like it.
Yeah, no, they just have the jersey. They're going to be using the same pants.
Like I like the vibes. Like it's very like you know what I mean. Like the vibes from like you think of like Chris Carter, Randy Moss, like that kind of vibe. But like this isn't it. Like this isn't like wow, oh my god, the Vikings did something here. They just like this isn't
right now. Okay, so right now we have Browns then Vikings on our official ranking, and we'll keep going on as we go on and go on. Next up, I think that this is going to take the cake for number one as of right now. Is they have at number 5 the throwback all red Patriots uniforms with the white helmet. I mean, number 5 is disrespectful, and I'm looking at the other jerseys ahead of this list, and I can really only argue that 1 or 2 are better than this uniform, the Patriots red uniform that they're going to be bringing back this year. This is one of my favorite uniforms of all time. The white helmet with Pat the Patriot on it is fantastic. It's beautiful. It's clean. It's smooth. Everything about it is great. I like this uniform a lot. As of right now, that's number 1 on our list.
I agree.
Right there.
This is it. Like this is awesome. Like this is everything. Like as a Pats fan, this is everything I've ever asked for. Well, not maybe everything, but damn near close.
It's a great uniform. It's very clean. Like, Pat the Patriot on the helmet. That's probably the best helmet in all of football. The red is very clean. It doesn't do too much. I love it. And they're playing in them twice this year. Week 2 versus Miami at home, and against the Chargers week 13, I believe, is the other time that they're doing it. Those 2 dates, have them circled on your calendar. Primetime games in the red are sick. I remember I went to the game against the Bills, a Thursday Night Football, and they wore the reds, and I wasn't expecting it. They kind of just like randomly said they were wearing them. And it was absolutely electric. They got the entire field decked out. It's an electric environment to be in, and it brings buzz to the team, and I love the red uniforms. I think they're awesome.
Yep, agreed. All right, next up on this list, we have the creamsicle, the classic creamsicle uniforms from the Buccaneers. And you know what? I'm going to come off right away and say I've been waiting for these uniforms for years, but for some reason, they're just not what I remember them being. And they're not – I thought they were going to be something else, and they weren't. I don't really know how to explain it, but I'm not the biggest fan of the creamsicles right now.
You know what's funny about it is when they wore them as their primaries, everyone thought they were the ugliest uniform in NFL history. Like, you guys remember that show on NFL Network, like the top 10, when they like would just do random top 10 lists, and like random reporters would show up. Like, this was voted as one of the ugliest uniforms in the NFL. And now it's back, and everyone's like, oh, this is sick. I think I ranked this between the Browns and the Vikings.
I love this. Yeah, Vikings last, then the creamsicle, then the Browns, and then the Pats.
Yes.
From last to first, right there.
Yep.
I'm right there with you. I agree with you 100%.
I don't love them, but I don't hate them. Like, I don't know, kind of like in my mind when I thought about like the creamsicles, I thought we were going to get some more, like obviously the creamsicles are the creamsicles, but I was thinking more like vibrant, more like exciting vibes from them. I don't know how to, it just seems
How is this going to look on a field?
It just seems flat. It just seems flat to me. Also, I really could argue that I like the creamsicles. Like I was for creamsicle. Like I love those jerseys. I think they should have just had them as one of their normal jerseys that they cycle through.
Yeah, and I like the helmet. But that's
yes, the helmet is a W.
Yeah.
All right. Next up on the list, we have not an official release, but we pretty much all know that the Titans are going to be busting out the Oilers uniforms in light blue. Hopefully this year. They will be wearing these uniforms this year. The light blue, they got a nice red trim. I put this at number 2 right now. I love the Oilers jerseys. That's an all-time jersey. I put it right behind the Patriots right now.
This is like one of my favorite jerseys, like of all time.
Ever.
Like Houston Oilers is like where it's at. This is easily number 2 from what we've seen so far.
I'm a sucker for that colorway.
Yeah.
I love that. It's very clean. Doesn't do too much, like I said. It's a great uniform.
They're gonna look really cool.
Number 2 is a great spot for them.
Number 2, yeah. Next up, they have this as number 2 on their list here, the Kelly Greens from the Eagles, an all-time jersey. But looking at the jersey, it's just all Kelly Green. It's genuinely their vintage jersey. They didn't really spice it up in any way or form. And just for that, I think that not giving a modern touch to it ticks off a little bit of points. But at the same time, they could have done something and then really messed it up. So I like them. I like that bright green. And I think that Jalen Hurts is going to look sick in that jersey. So I like the jersey. I don't know where I'm going to rank it. I think I'm going to rank it right behind the Titans one.
Okay.
Right behind the Titans one.
Yeah. I'll number 3 is a good spot for that. I agree. It's all right. It's cool. It's a cool throwback. If it wasn't their throwback, people would hate it. They just lazy.
Yes, if that was just like a rebrand and they were like, oh, we're going to Kelly Green, or like a team had just a Kelly Green jersey for a football team, I don't think that it would be like a hit.
Yeah.
Don't love the Eagles, but these are also up there for one of just like those classic jerseys that just look really nice, like out on the field. They're gonna look cool in them, but it's not anything like super special. Like not like the Pats bringing back the red special. It's just like, oh, like this is like their throwback. They're gonna wear it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. Number 3 has it right now.
Yep. And then I don't think I see it on this list, the Colts one, because I know
that just came out today.
Yeah.
Yes, great shout. I would put that last.
I
hate
they should have done blackout. Why did they do all black?
I
sick.
hate that jersey.
It looks like staticky. It looks like an 8-bit video game. I love the helmet. The helmet is sick.
It looks awful.
The helmet is sick. The jersey sucks. They should have done all black with blue numbers, and you just kind of go on a Duke vibe. The Duke blackout jerseys? They should have just done that.
Well, it's funny because these blue ones look like the Duke blue jerseys, and every single Colt uniform, their alternate, they all have like the Colt C on the chest. So now whoever their captains are, they're gonna have a C on each side.
That's dumb. I don't know why I thought that was the new captain.
The
patch,
captain? No, that's
no.
the Colts logo. Every player is gonna have that. So then the captains are gonna have a C on each side. That's gonna look horrible. But let's finish off this list here. That one was last. Let's finish off this list here, and we can have a little debate because the Seahawks jersey is the best one that's come out.
Oh,
it's the best one. It's better than the Patriots one.
I was gonna say I think this is number 1. I don't care. This is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's number 1, and the royal blue with the Kelly green. They say it's a lime. That's not lime. The silver helmet is
puts it over the top.
I just cannot wait for the combo of it's going to be royal blue with gray pants, blue socks, and the silver helmet. It's going to be, beautiful. I'm so wait to get my Tariq jersey. I'm so excited for these uniforms. We should wear these 4 or 5 games. Jackson Smith and Jigba in the video look sick. They've done a great job also releasing the uniforms.
Oh, I love that video.
Just everything about it has been great. They have done an awesome job of releasing these uniforms. I want to know when they're going to wear them. Has that been released yet?
I didn't see anything. I think it's only 1 or 2 weeks, though. That's
they usually only do it a couple of weeks.
Interesting.
No, they haven't released it, but those are number 1.
Yeah. I'll flip a coin, to be honest. I love them both. And I think that the Seahawks have the right players to wear that uniform. You know what I mean? If
it's the perfect time to bring those in.
Yes, 100%. Guys like JSN, DK, K9, like Geno Smith, Bobby Wagner's back on defense. Yeah, like we can list names forever.
Andre Davis looks sick in it when Jamal Adams plays for his one game. We should wear him week one.
I forgot about Jamal Adams.
Oh, we all do. When Jamal
Is he still wearing
Adams,
number 33?
yeah,
Okay, he's not switching to 3. Why
I hope not. I have a Jamal Adams jersey.
Yeah, why did I think he was switching to 3? I don't know. But
Also,
yeah, that's
also, I just want to say, like, along with the jerseys, you know how all the Madden rankings have came out?
oh god.
Speaking
yeah.
of jerseys, they put not Jamal Adams, Derwin James is the number 1 safety in Madden this year. They used his old jersey.
Yeah, when they released like he was the number 1 safety, they
put him in 33. Like he literally, this was like his last season was like almost one of the first full seasons he's ever played in the NFL, and he played with the number 3 the whole year.
That EA is so tone deaf. It's not even funny.
It's like they don't watch the game. Like
Bro,
they just have like their ratings guys, and they are the ones that watch the game. Other than that, they're all just like nerds.
Even though they don't
Yeah,
watch
not
football. Like, how are you gonna rank Trent Williams below Zach Martin when it comes to offensive linemen? Trent Williams is the best player in football. Like, he should be a 99, and I think everyone would have expected that, but he was a 98 right below. It doesn't make any sense to me. There's like for example, Ezekiel Elliott, they love Zeke. They gave him an 84 overall, but then they give a guy like Ramondre Stevenson, who almost doubled his production last year, an 80. Like,
yeah, Madden sucks. I'm sorry.
like I'm saying Ramondre, you guys might have a different opinion on him. I think Ramondre deserves like an 83, 82.
At least he's on a
deserves,
team right now.
Yeah, and Zeke deserves like a 78. What has Zeke done?
Zeke shouldn't be in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's kind of what I was getting at that. But and Christian McCaffrey ranked below Nick Chubb. That's debatable, but I think Christian McCaffrey is a better player than Nick Chubb. Stuff like that. I don't know.
That was kind of random. We were talking about jerseys, and I just like made me think of that he was ranked. They put him in the 33 for literally no reason.
I think we should go through rankings of Madden ratings next episode. You kind of rip that apart.
I'm done.
All right. But I think that's going to do it for this episode. We hope you guys enjoyed and welcoming us back into your ears and all that fun stuff. We will catch you guys on the next episode, and peace.